You are the chief astronaut of one of 4 companies colonizing Mars in the not-too-far future. You're trying to create the largest amount of opportunity for your company. But when on Mars, even opponents must work together to stay alive. On Mars is separated into 3 main playing areas. The surface of Mars, where you'll build and maintain the various habitats and life support systems, and explore the planet with rovers. Mars orbit, where you'll be supplied by Earth with the latest technology and fresh resources, such as water, energy, food, and oxygen. Your astronaut's lab and warehouse, where you'll conduct research, welcome new colonists, and store goods as well as private shuttles. A game of On Mars takes between 30 and 60 minutes per player, and ends when the colony has achieved 3 milestones. There are 2 types of milestone. On the one hand, the successful completion of different building or exploration missions sent by Earth. And on the other hand, the successful advancements of the life support system. Basic resource-producing buildings will slowly turn the colony into a self-sustaining and autonomous place. The game is played in turns. Each turn, a player can take up to 2 actions in any order. 1 main action from the main board, and, provided they have the means to do so, an executive action from their blueprint cards or player board. There are 10 main actions, 5 in orbit and 5 on Mars. Some of these actions require colonist workers to be sent to that space on the board. The orbit main actions are: take resources from the display. Take and start researching one of the 8 types of technology. Develop your technologies to be more efficient. Take blueprints sent from Earth to build more advanced versions of the basic buildings on the map. And take an escape pod to forfeit all other actions and go to Mars directly. The Mars surface main actions are: construct a basic building, upgrade a basic building to an advanced building using blueprints, hire scientists, experts to reduce the cost of executive actions, or take on Earth contracts for endgame bonuses. Pilot your exploration rover and your construction robots over the surface of Mars. And welcome new shuttles with new robots and new colonists. Players must decide when to travel to orbit or to the surface, and how long to stay there, to gain access to the various actions. As the colony becomes more self-sustaining, the shuttle that brings players to and from Mars will travel less frequently. The journey to Mars enables players to survey the surface in search of discoveries. The journey to orbit allows players to start a production cycle of resources. Players can choose not to travel this round. In addition to the main actions, there are executive actions. Executive actions are found on the player board and on blueprint cards and have various effects, such as taking resources, upgrading more buildings, moving rovers faster, or developing technologies. Many of them give access to main actions, which is vital as executive actions can be performed regardless of what side of the board the player is on. Technologies modify the outcome of some actions and enable the colony to build more efficient clusters of basic buildings on the surface of the planet. These clusters are called complexes. Technologies are to some extent a cooperative effort. Once one player has researched a technology, all players have access to it. However, the owner of the technology receives additional bonuses when it is used. A game of On Mars, therefore, is a series of main and executive actions that allow the players to perform various jobs of construction, maintenance, exploration, and production. They will stock up on resources, blueprints, and technology in orbit, then travel to the surface of Mars, exploring it with rovers and balancing life support system and habitats. They will welcome new colonists, scientists, and take on the various contracts and missions sent from Earth. This ecosystem is driven by 5 types of resources. Each type of resource corresponds to one of the basic buildings. Minerals. Their basic building is the mine. Blueprints require minerals to upgrade buildings. They are the most basic resource, and they are wild, meaning they can substitute any other resource in the game. Batteries, or electricity, the main power source on Mars. Their basic building is the power plant. Water. Water is necessary to sustain both plant and human life on Mars. Its basic building is the water extractor. Plants, or food. Plants, much like water, are necessary to sustain human life and to generate oxygen. Their basic building is a greenhouse. Oxygen. It is necessary to provide habitats with breathable air and used in the development of technology. Its basic building is the oxygen condenser. Every basic building produces resources that are required to build other basic buildings. Minerals are needed to make power plants. Electricity is needed to make water extractors. Water is needed to make greenhouses. Greenhouses are needed to make oxygen condensers. Oxygen condensers are needed to make habitats. And habitats can house new colonists who give access to main actions, but also work in mines to produce new minerals. This is the life cycle that allows Mars to become independent of orbit deliveries later in the game. The Life Support System LSS and Colony Level Track provide significant bonuses for the players who contribute the most needed buildings at the right time. And the LSS is used to time the game stages and represent the increasingly well-developed colony. In addition to the 5 main resources, the surface of Mars also yields crystals. Crystals are both fuel and currency. They power rovers and bots, and are mainly used to pay for executive actions and to reward players for contributing to milestones. By taking blueprints, players gain a free resource and the ability to upgrade basic buildings to advanced buildings with new abilities. They are collected next to the player boards. The player boards can store resources and crystals. Welcoming new private shuttles unlocks new executive actions and more space for crystals. And building new habitats gives access to more colonists who are required for many main actions. If they want, players can also hire up to 6 top-level scientists. They will populate the advanced buildings, giving free executive actions to the owner of the scientist, as well as the owner of the advanced building card they are currently on. In the beginning of the game, each player is given 3 secret missions from their company, one of which can be fulfilled during the game for a valuable one-time bonus. On Mars, players score victory points called opportunity points for advancing the life support system with the right buildings at the right time, for collecting and fulfilling blueprints to build advanced versions of the basic buildings, for developing and efficiently using technology, for creating big complexes, for building habitats and welcoming new colonists, for hiring the right scientists and fulfilling Earth contracts. By the end of the game, all unbuilt blueprints and unfulfilled contracts deduce points. After 3 milestones have been reached, On Mars proceeds for one final round of play, followed by endgame scoring. The player with the highest number of opportunity points is the winner.